So this week you guys gave me like a list of videos that we need to go over, specifically about the launch of Black Ops 7. This one, I believe we watched one video from this person before. Their name on YouTube is Saber, S-A-B-R Path. And the title of the video is simple. I worked at Treyarch, the truth about Black Ops 7's failure. Now there's some other videos that we're going to have throughout this weekend and maybe into a little bit of next week that you'll kind of see a little bit more about this and the development cycle and everything like this. Now, if it's the same person that we watched before, I believe they worked during Black Ops 4, but we'll see what they have to say. It could be a completely different person, but it's always interesting to hear with Call of Duty, like the little behind the scenes, behind the curtain, Wizard of Oz style.
Is out and it's being mocked. And Call of Duty Black Ops 7 is out and it's being mocked and memed online, especially the campaign. I've worked at Treyarch in the past as an administrative assistant for 3 years. I'm going to share my perspective as to what
So this is a different person than we watched before. The person we watched before worked in quality assurance. This person worked as an admin.
believe went wrong with Black Ops 7 through my
I don't even know what that
experience
means.
working at Treyarch. Salam, my name is Mustafa. I am the solo game developer of Suburb Path. As mentioned, in the past, I worked at Treyarch during the development of Black Ops 4 doing administrative assistant
Same
work.
game,
I also
different
have
person.
experience doing QA work for another.
You work for Zwift. Okay, this is something, if you work for Zwift, this is something that I kind of want. This is like you get on an actual bike and you race against people around the world, and it's pretty cool.
Company, as well as doing solo game development on my own. First, I want to make it clear, I have not played Black Ops 7. I don't really plan on playing Black Ops 7, and this is not supposed to be a review of Black Ops 7. There's a lot of talk online with this game, video clips being memed and shared online. And the two main focuses as to what's drawing negative attention are the campaign as well as the AI generated work that's used within the game.
Yep, I would agree
From
with
my
that.
observation, it appears that the zombies mode as well as the multiplayer mode do bring the quality that people expect out of the Call of Duty franchise.
Completely agree with what
This
you're
is
saying.
because these portions of the game have been developed in-house by Treyarch. For those who are unaware,
God, he is okay. Whoever sent me this video, well done, because this is what I've been trying to say for weeks now. Like, this is what actually happened with this game, what he's about to say. So pay attention to this. This is important.
Treyarch has been collaborating with Raven Software for the past few Black Ops games. By the time I left,
Which has been okay. The Cold War campaign was decent, and the Black Ops 6 campaign was decent. Actually, I would say Cold War was good. 6 was decent.
Treyarch, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War was already in development. Raven Software was collaborating with Treyarch to work on the campaign mode of that game while Treyarch works on the other modes of the game.
Which is
in
commonplace
AAA
now.
development, splitting the project up into chunks and having different groups of people work on different parts of the game is not uncommon.
Yep.
Even before collaborating with Raven Software, Treyarch had their own studio split up into different teams, such as one team working on the multiplayer mode.
So this was when you got into David Vonderhaar. What was the other guy's name? Why can't I think of his name? The zombies guy. You know who I'm talking about. My brain's farting real hard right now. But anyway, they had their studio up. You're the multiplayer group. You're the zombies group. You're the campaign group. This is Call of Duty has done that for a long time. But now they have full separate studios who work in different places, working on the different parts.
Another team working
I've
on
got
the
more to say
campaign
about
and
this.
the zombies maps. There are difficulties when it comes to having cross-team communication when the teams aren't within the same location.
Yes.
So a lot of the issues with the
This guy is
cross-team
so right.
communication can be worked on by having all the meetings take place within Zoom or online. Raven Software actually has a very strong reputation when it comes to a single-player campaign.
He's right.
For example, they worked on the game Singularity. While that game didn't sell well, it did review very well. They worked on the campaign for Call of Duty Cold War, which got praised for its very strong narrative and single-player campaign. Same for Black Ops 6, which many
100%.
people said that was one of the best single-player campaigns in Call of Duty in years. But it starts to not make sense when we look at Call of Duty Black Ops 7, which is being mocked for its single-player campaign. People are mocking it for its messy narrative, bringing back characters that have been dead in the series, as well as using fear hallucinations as a storytelling crutch. Many of the negative reviews talk about boring gameplay, fighting off waves of enemies that don't do anything interesting, a mission in which you're randomly teamed up with zombies and you're pushing a payload cart. And for whatever reason, the game is always online and has no checkpoints throughout the levels. If you die, you have to start all over from the beginning of the level.
No, okay,
so how did this happen? How did Raven Software go from making great campaigns and then they make this?
This is the only person that I've heard say this, but I wonder if his conclusion will be the same as mine.
I do not have inside information of what happened during the development of Black Ops 7. This is all speculation going off of what my experience was like working at Treyarch. Microsoft acquired Activision back in October.
Okay. Here's what I actually think it is. Before he says anything, here is what I actually think. I'm not saying this is 100% confirmed, but I think Treyarch helped with this campaign. And Treyarch can't make campaigns anymore. The people who used to make the top tier campaigns are gone. They're all gone. And the last campaign that Treyarch worked on was Black Ops 3. What game has, and then they didn't make a campaign with Black Ops 4. And then Raven made the last two campaigns. So I think Raven started on this one and built parts of this campaign, and I could probably pick out what parts those were. And then Treyarch came in, and they can't make campaigns anymore. That's my theory. I'm curious what he has to say, but that's my theory. Also, you may not know this, but a lot of people have been talking lately. Why is the the seasonal story for Black Ops 7 so different than the campaign? Like, they built up Emma Kagan and all of a sudden they kill Emma Kagan. The team that writes the campaign is a different team than writes the seasonal stories for games, which is beyond stupid. Anyway.
Over 2023. After that, there have been layoffs constantly throughout Activision and Blizzard. Microsoft laid off over 9,000 people. This included employees from Raven Software.
True.
Also keep in mind, Microsoft does not have a strong reputation of acquiring a studio and then doing well with it afterwards.
That's actually very true.
In almost every case, when Microsoft acquires a studio, the games end up becoming worse. To me, it's a clear sign that Microsoft has bad management. Going off of that, I also imagine there are people who might have left Raven Software after not agreeing with the new management. Regardless, Black Ops 7 is the first campaign that Raven is working on entirely under Microsoft's post-restructuring management. There seems to be a speculation online that people like to spread that a lot of these studios just hire a bunch of junior developers, and that's why these games don't do well. For example, I was watching a clip from the Side Scrollers podcast, and this is what Vera Dark had to say.
They don't have teams of passionate, innovative people anymore because they're firing the veterans in order to hire juniors because it's cheaper. And really, these people don't know what made Call of Duty
I don't think they're hiring juniors. I think they're just using AI.
special. They don't know how to make a good video game.
This is speculation that does not match my experience at all. From my experience, Treyarch does not like hiring junior positions. The only time I saw junior positions get filled is after the internship program was over. Once interns complete the internship program and go through the mentorship process, then usually the best performers get offered a job as a junior developer. Treyarch not hiring junior developers is actually the reason why I ended up leaving Treyarch. I was making an attempt to get hired on as a level designer and then never got hired because they just never had an opening for a junior developer. Even after learning how to use their in-house tool set and talking to the lead level designer at that time, I still wasn't able to get in because they just simply don't hire junior developers. What I did notice,
I mean, that could have changed under Microsoft as well, but
was that people would leave for a number of reasons. For example, I've seen developers who got fired. Some developers would leave due to disagreements with management.
Blundell. That was the name of the other guy. Jesus, that took me a long time.
Some developers would just leave due to burnout of the series, and I've seen a lot of developers leave because they got poached by competitors. Specifically, I've seen many developers get poached by Riot Games because they're located very close to Treyarch. And what did Treyarch do when they lost developers? They hired more developers with experience in AAA games, but
so it's headhunting, right? It's this is very, very common. Even with a bunch of the PR people that I've worked with at Call of Duty, some of them have left and gone. I think one of them went to Riot actually, and then later on I think went to Roblox. And then recently we've seen guys at Raven go to Fortnite or Epic Games. We see it all the time. It's headhunting. When you get better, they headhunt you and they pay you more. And if your company's not willing to pay you that much money, then you leave and they have to try to fill your spot with someone who's as good, but they're going to pay less money too. And it's hard.
It doesn't exactly mean that they hired people with experience in games similar to Call of Duty. I've talked to many of the developers at Treyarch while I worked there, and a lot of them worked on completely different games. The point being, they are hiring people that understand AAA workflow, but not necessarily hiring people who have experience working on games exactly like Call of Duty. And this could be the same case with Raven Software. After Microsoft laid off people from their staff, that leads to a hit towards their team synergy. So whether they continued without replacing those people or they replaced them with brand new people, it results to them having a completely new team dynamic due to the fact that their team is now different. And this is a huge factor as to why the outcome of Raven's work is so different now compared to what it was in their previous projects. And let's talk about this AI.
Okay, before we move to AI, I think he's partially right. And I think they already made their campaign. I think originally Black Ops 6 and Black Ops 7 were supposed to be one campaign. This is a video that I'm working on. I'm still writing it. The reason why I say that though is there's parts to both games that seem to fit together. And I think they were trying to build a game like Black Ops 2 where there was a Gulf War era part of the story and then a futuristic part of the story like Black Ops 2. And I think that got thrown out. And then they had to make another campaign. People got fired. They didn't have enough people to work on it. So people at Treyarch came over and worked on it. And Treyarch doesn't know how to make a campaign anymore. That's truly what I think happened.
Work real quick. Black Ops 7 now includes AI artwork used in the calling cards as well as in the achievement trackers. A lot of these images use this Studio Ghibli knockoff art style. This not only is not cohesive with the rest of the game, but also looks lazy and gives a low quality feel.
Gives a free to play feel.
About the studios not wanting to hire somebody to do artwork because they already have artists working there. When I was at Treyarch, there were lots of artists working there. They don't even need a commission artist because they literally have artists that come into work every day. So why would they want to use AI artwork? Let me explain why. When you have something in the UI, for example, an achievement tracker, you have one person who's in charge of writing the text for that achievement tracker. For this example, we'll just say that this specific achievement is get 30 headshots. So in a normal situation, the person who writes that text, get 30 headshots, will have to communicate with the artist and set up meetings and say, I need artwork that goes with this achievement that's get 30 headshots.
So this, what he is describing right here is a workflow problem. And he's 100% right. And I believe it was CD Projekt Red came out and said the problem with Cyberpunk was their workflow. When they had a scene that they needed to build, they would build the scene, an animator would come in, and then the lighting team would come in, and then the audio team would come in. And instead of working on something congruently, they were doing parts. And as soon as something messed up, they had to go back to the beginning and it screwed everything up. And when you have a bad workflow problem, crap like this happens. I was going to swear, but they didn't.
The artist will work on the image and send it to the person who writes the text. This requires communication and going back and forth and maybe some iterations. What I can see happen is that Microsoft wants their studios to utilize Copilot within the workflow.
no.
It's very likely that they wanted to make it a mandate. And some producer at Microsoft came to the person who's writing the text and says, okay, you need to use Copilot to generate.
Okay, so I know someone who works at Microsoft in HR. And one of their interview questions is name 3 ways that our teams can work better using AI. And if you don't answer that question, you will not get the job. He's 100% right. They're mandating all of their staff to use AI, and specifically, he is right, using Copilot. He's right. He's 100, 1,000, 1,000,000% correct.
These images so you don't have to talk to this person anymore. Rather than having a back and forth between the person who writes the text and the person who does the art, now it's just one person doing everything on their own. You end up losing quality for efficiency. I'm not saying that this is a good thing. I'm just saying that this is a likely explanation as to what happened and why these ended up in the game.
Yep.
From my experience, these are signs of bad management ruining.
He's 100% right. Management comes in, tells the animators, hey, you guys need to use Copilot. Okay, what's the least important thing in the game? Oh, calling cards. We'll use them for that. They can be like, bring back to their management being like, look, they used Copilot. Look what it did. Ooh, good for everyone. Oh, everyone hates us for it now. Well, what are you supposed to do?
In these studios, mass layoffs end up disrupting talent. When you remove people at mass, it affects everybody. The new team needs to learn how to get by with the new structure and the new team dynamic. There's a large chance that they lost key players, people who know certain things, and it alters the team synergy. The potential of Microsoft putting in a mandate to use Copilot and AI clearly shifts the priority from being creative to being efficient. Seeing these large AAA studios struggle due to mismanagement, especially after a huge company such as Microsoft acquiring them, is not a good sign for the overall health of the AAA game industry. I don't see this as a game industry crash, but I do see this as an overall restructuring of what the game industry is going to be like in the next 10 years. These large publishers such as Microsoft, Sony, Ubisoft, they're all getting too big to handle everyone that's underneath them. Anyways, let me know what you think about the situation.
It's to the point where when I currently reach out to some PR contacts at Call of Duty to be like, hey, what's going on today? Do we have any like news or anything? The PR contacts will literally not know because there are too many cooks in the kitchen. It's not just like a linear structure where this person's up top and what they says goes. It's like this needs to get approved by this department and then sent off to this department and then back to the legal department and then scanned through by AI. And it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. And I think what adding Xbox into the Call of Duty ecosystem actually did was add to that mess. It was already structured in that way too much, where Activision, the Treyarch had to report to Activision, which had to report to legal, which had to report to Blizzard or whatever their process was. But then also Raven has to report to Treyarch, who then has to and that it's just the chain where couldn't just be one group that what we says goes and no decisions could be made because of that. It's very clear that this is what's happening. And now it's not just Activision. It's now Treyarch reports to Activision, who reports to legal, who reports to Microsoft, who reports to their managers. And then their managers report. Do you see where I'm going with this? Too many goddamn cooks in the kitchen makes bad food. We'll end with that.